So once again, for those of you just joining us, I want to welcome everybody to Upgrading and Migrating Windows SharePoint Services and SharePoint Portal Server. Very happy to introduce to you, we have two presenters today, Perla Gekken and Dino Datuan. Both are senior consultants with the Microsoft Corporation, and we're going to go ahead and start off with Dino. Dino, thanks so much for being with us. You now have the floor.
Okay, thank you, John. And let's get started. Good morning and good day, and welcome to another TechNet webcast. Today we'll be talking about how to upgrade and migrate your Windows SharePoint Services version 2.0 and SharePoint Portal Server 2003 installation. My name is Dino Datuan, and I'm a senior consultant from the service organization of Microsoft, talking to you live from Dallas, Texas. And live from Washington, D.C., we have Perla.
Hello everyone, my name is Perla Gekken. I'm with East Region Services Organization, and I'm happy to be here talking to you in this webcast.
And as what John has said, we will also have question and answers during the session. We have in our Q&A booth Eric Sharon from Philadelphia. He'll be manning that booth during and after the presentation. Okay, so what we intend to cover during this hour is to explain to you about the available options out of the box for migrating and upgrading your current SharePoint 2003 installation. And some important things you need to consider when you have done customizations with your current site. You'll also be able to learn about some tips and tricks from some real-world experience from Perla and I, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions in the end. Obviously, you'll need some working knowledge or have a great experience with Windows SharePoint Services v2 and or SharePoint Portal Server 2003, and some basic high-level understanding of Office SharePoint Portal Server 2007. So here's our agenda for today, and that is to explain in details the different options for upgrading and migration of SharePoint 2003 to SharePoint 2007. What are the steps for preparing for an upgrade, especially when you have done quite a bit of customization of your content? Then we'll step through the actual upgrade processes itself and the different scenarios where it can apply, and show you some demos and screenshots. Then we'll summarize it all by giving you some recommendations and references for further information. So as you probably already know, Microsoft Office SharePoint Portal Server 2007 is the next version of Office SharePoint products and technology. Microsoft has essentially integrated three separate products into one comprehensive platform. Microsoft Content Management Server was our content publishing and web content management solution in 2002. You are now able to upgrade that product directly in SharePoint 2007. However, for the purpose of this session, we will only be talking about the upgrade of SharePoint Portal Server and Windows SharePoint Services 2003. In SharePoint Portal 2003, you can upgrade and or migrate directly into SharePoint 2007 using one of the options we'll describe next. With Windows SharePoint Services version 2 or 2003, the migration/upgrade path is to first go through Windows SharePoint Portal Server version 3 or 2007 and then move your content to SharePoint Portal Server 2007. This is the only recommended path that is supported by Microsoft. So what are the different upgrade options that are available out of the box? The first one is what we call an in-place upgrade. This is in essence installing SharePoint 2007 on your existing SharePoint 2003 installations. SharePoint 2007 recognizes that you have an existing 2003 instance and will automatically upgrade it to 2007. This is the easiest of all upgrade options. However, during that upgrade time, your site will be offline. The gradual upgrade or the side-by-side upgrade gives you the capability to upgrade single sites at a time. This gives you the ability to have a granular control of all the different sites that you wish to upgrade. This option gives you the ability to compare existing sites in 2003 and new sites in 2007 side by side, plus the ability to revert any changes. Although this option is very granular, it can be very resource intensive and requires a lot of database space. And finally, content database migration. This can be used as an upgrade option if you wish to upgrade into a new farm or into a new hardware. This process simply takes your content databases in the backend and upgrades the schema and the content to 2007. The original farm stays and continues to be available, and in the backend, the content is migrated. That is why it's called migration rather than an upgrade. This would be a recommended approach for larger content databases. However, there are additional manual steps to get you or your new farm back online. At this point, I'll turn it over to Perla to describe some of the customization considerations.
As you migrate from or upgrade from 2003 to 2007, you need to consider not just your content, but also some of the customizations that you might have applied to your 2007 environment. As you plan for the upgrade, you need to review each of your customizations and decide whether or not you need to move them over to 2007 environment. 2007 environment provides additional functionality, so you may consider to retire some of your customizations and instead use some of the out-of-box functionality in 2007. For instance, if you developed a custom navigation control, you may find the out-of-box navigation control might meet your needs in 2007, so you might retire that customization. But if you choose to keep some of your customizations, you need to understand whether they are supportable customizations or not. So what I mean by that is Microsoft provided some best practices and guidance around customizing 2003 environment. And for instance, if you wanted to create a custom site definition, you needed to, the recommendation around that was to create a copy of an out-of-box site definition folder and apply your changes to the copied version instead of instead of modifying the out-of-box site definition. Or if you have written a custom code, the recommendation was to talk to the SharePoint content or database through the object model. But if for any reason in your customizations, in your custom code, you choose to talk directly to the database, that was not a supported approach, and you might lose those customizations, or your customizations may not successfully migrate over. And therefore, I strongly recommend you to review your customizations and understand the supportability of those. There is a white paper that we published during 2003 timeframe. The author was Keith Bengston. You can find the link of that white paper at the end of the deck that talks about how you can ensure the supportability and upgradability of your 2003 customizations. So in this presentation, we will focus specifically on the top 3 most common customizations done in 2003 environments. So we'll talk about how you can handle upgrading your sites created using a custom site definition. We will talk about how your custom web parts can be upgraded to 2007. And we will also touch on how you can handle front page customizations on your pages. All right, so custom site definitions. If you have sites created using custom site definitions, in order to have a fully functional site in 2007 and upgrade all the content and be able to access that content, you have to have a 2007 version of that site definition. What you need to do is you need to create a 2007 site definition. You can also choose to utilize some of the new functionality, especially the features framework in 2007, to create some of those customizations in 2007. And then you need to map the 2003 site definition to 2007 site definition using an upgrade definition map. So this process is a manual process. So you have to create 2007 site definition, test it, and make sure it's fully functional, and then create an upgrade definition to map 2003 to 2007, and then upgrade your site created using the custom site definition. This can be done during the upgrade or after the upgrade by running the command line, STSADM upgrade command line. I will go into some more detail around site definitions because it's really a common practice among customers. So in this demonstration, I will use screenshots to show you what are the individual steps and how you can go about migrating your site definition. Here I have a site, a V2, WSS V2 site created using a custom site definition called class. I try to make the modifications that are most commonly done currently with among customers. So I modified the default.aspx page. So I added a greeting line at the top of the page, welcome to this class, by modifying the default.aspx page in the site definition directory. I also added two templates, a list template called students and a document library called class document library. As you can see, I have the students custom list created. It was created based on a contacts list template, and I have a class document library created using a document library template. So here you can see the 2003 or the V2 folder where you store your site definition. So here is the class folder for my site definition. And here you can see my students in the class.lib folders for my list and library. In 2007, the site definition infrastructure has changed a little bit. We won't have time to go into the details of that, but generally, you still have a folder where you store your site definitions, and it is called Site Templates under the 12 template folder. And if you choose to create features for some of the customizations, like the list and library customizations, you will create those features in the feature directory you can see on the screen. And here is my 2007 site student list and 2007 class document library features I created. So just to repeat it, I created my features and I created my 2007 site definition, and I tested it, and I'm ready to go. Before I can start working on the upgrade definition, I have to take a note of the site definition ID from my web temp files. So if you've done custom site definitions, you should be familiar with this folder, this file. So I'm taking a note of my 10001 ID, and here you on the screen you will see an upgrade definition file. The upgrade definition files should be deployed under the directory under the 12 folder config and upgrade. In this folder, when you go to that folder, you will see there are two upgrade definitions, WSS upgrade.xml and SPS premium upgrade.xml. WSS upgrade.xml can be used to create your upgrade definitions for your WSS site templates, whereas the other file can be used to upgrade your SPS portal templates, for instance, your area templates. Since this is an SPS site template created based on an SPS site template, I will go ahead and use a WSS upgrade.xml, create a copy of that XML, and I have to name it so that it correlates to my custom site definition. So here you can see I named this file as WSS upgrade class.xml. If we can go into the schema of this file, you will see there is the config element, the config node in the XML file holds an element called web template, and I have the ID for my site definition. So this ID, by looking at this ID, product knows that this upgrade definition that it needs to use this upgrade definition file, this node particular. And I have definitions for how to map my lists and how to map my pages and forms in my site definition. And also if I have any custom site, custom features I created, I can list them in the apply site features and apply web features section. So here is a view of the lists. As you can see, I added 2 lines at the end of the list node. I have a template ID of 501 and a template ID of 502. These are the IDs I used for my students list and a class document library. And I mapped them to the features I created in 2007, and I also made sure that I defined those features in the applied web features section in my upgrade definition files. And this is a view for the files as well. And as you can see, I've replaced the out-of-box definition path to my custom site definition path. So it is very important to not modify the existing upgrade definition files, but create a copy, because the existing ones are also used by the product to upgrade the out-of-box site definition. So this is how 2007 upgrades the out-of-box site definition. And so here's my V2 site that I showed earlier, and as I run the upgrade, after I applied my site definition features and the upgrade definition, it will go ahead and be upgraded to 2007. And you can see all the layout is kept the same, and the content moved over successfully. All right. I hope this was helpful as you start considering upgrading your site definition. So let's talk about custom web parts. For the most part, your custom web parts will be upgraded successfully because we are backward compatible. If you are using WSS V2, you can upgrade your environment, or if you have already upgraded to Service Pack 2, you can test your web parts with ASP.NET 2.0. If they are working there, they will most probably work in 2007 as well. If you are doing if you choose an upgrade option other than in-place upgrade, you would have to redeploy your web parts. If you do a content DB migration, you have to deploy the web part to the new environment and to the new hardware. Whereas if you're doing a gradual upgrade, you would need to deploy it in the bin directly unless it is installed in the GAG. And make sure that you modify the web.config file after the fact to add the safe controls as well. So front page customizations. As you modify your pages in 2003, front page allows you to allows you to save a copy of that page to the database. So that was called unghosting. So the pages you upgraded, once you start upgrading your pages, those pages in the database will be kept as is. So they will be moved as is, and so you will be preserving your customizations. However, you will not, however, the look and feel of those pages will not match the rest of the site. And what it really means is you will not be able to get the links for the new features. For instance, you will not see the recycle bin, or will not have a security trimmed UI. Your other option is you can remove these customizations by resetting the page back to the site definition layout. And this option is available during the gradual upgrade, or you can reset the pages after the upgrade through the site settings or from the SharePoint Designer tool, using the SharePoint Designer tool. All right, so we talked about the customizations, and let's talk about content. As you prepare for your upgrades, you need to understand your content very well, so you can make the decision, the right decision, and pick the right option among the upgrade options provided out of box. So you need to understand whether you have like large site collections, large content databases versus large number of site collections with smaller databases. And to be able to understand your environment, you can use, if you have reports, if you have usage reports, if you're using out-of-box reporting capabilities, you might already be familiar with the environment. But there are some tools, community tools also available for you to review and analyze your environment. For instance, SharePoint Utility has some functionality where you can distribute your large databases, large site collections into multiple databases and multiple site collections. However, I'd like to point out that these community tools are not really supported by Microsoft, so it is very important to test them out in an intermediate environment before you try it on a production environment. Also, before you upgrade, it is very important to back up your environment. You need to back up and make sure and test that backup and restore it. And so having an intermediate environment is also very important for you to test your upgrade scenarios. All right, the last thing you need to do before you start upgrading is to run the pre-scan tool. This tool comes with the product, and you can find it in the bin directory, and it's also available for download. It scans your environment and reports some of the common issues that needs to be addressed before you can run your upgrade. And it lists all the custom site definitions used in your environment. So if you have like 10 site definitions, it will report only the ones that are in use. So you can only plan to upgrade those site definitions. And it also updates WSS lists in the database so they can be upgraded. So this is very important. You should first test this in an intermediate environment and do not run it in the production before you're all ready to migrate your production data, production environment. Some of the common issues pre-scan tools reports are listed on the screen. So if you see, I just want to touch a couple of them. So if you see a site list not scanned error at the end of the log, this might mean that you either don't have the site definition, so the pre-scan tool cannot access that particular content, or you might be missing a managed path, so the content, the site, or is not accessible, or you might have orphaned objects. So if you have orphaned objects, there is a post-service pack to hotfix that you can download from the support.microsoft.com. And we have links at the end of the deck that you can follow for these hotfixes. And what the hotfix does is it adds a parameter to the SCS ADM command line utility, so you can detect those orphaned objects and remove them. But please be aware that by removing the orphaned objects, you might create other orphaned objects. So it should be it should be done very, very carefully. And you can also, as you go to the KB articles, you'll see that you can have orphaned objects in the content databases or in the configuration databases, and if it's in the configuration database, you can remove them using detaching the content database and attaching it to your farm. All right, so let's start talking about the migration options now. So we mentioned in place upgrade. We will talk about these in detail. Have the gradual upgrade and the content DB migration. So I will go right into the in place upgrade. So the in place upgrade is the simplest option really. All you do is you install 2007 on the same hardware with 2003, and then run your upgrade. As upgrade runs, it upgrades your configuration database to 2003 configuration database to 2007, and it also upgrades all your content databases as well. And during this process, your entire farm is offline. Therefore, it is not really recommended for a production environment, especially if you have a medium-large environment. So the scenarios you can consider using in-place upgrade for if you have WSS standalone installations or single server installations, or if you have minimum customizations, environments with minimum customizations, you can go with this approach. And it's really recommended for development or test environments, not for production environments. Gradual upgrade. So the gradual upgrade is a side-by-side installation of 2007 on the 2003 hardware. So you are running two versions of the product on the same hardware. As you install 2007, it will take over the URL that you are using for your 2003 environment, and it reassigns it to the temporary URL that you provide during this upgrade configuration process. So before you install, when users browse to the HTTP WSS URL, SharePoint content is served from the 2003 web application. As you install 2007, it adds the 2007 configuration DB and the content DB, and maps your existing 2003 web application to your 2007 web application. So it creates a site mapping as you as you configure the gradual upgrade. And it takes over the existing URL and redirects the 2003 environment to the temporary URL. So what happens when the user browses to the HTTP WSS URL? So because the site is not yet upgraded, the content is served from the 2003 environment through redirection. And once the content, as you migrate your site collection, it is copied to the temporary database, it's upgraded, and then it's moved over to the 2007 environment. And as you can see, all the work happens on the back end on the SQL server, so it's very SQL Server resource intensive. And you would need storage additional, almost over twice as much as data storage on the back end. So now once the user browses the WSS, since it is upgraded, the content is served from the 2007 database. The scenarios where we would recommend gradual upgrade is for heavily customized environments. You would see in an intermediate, in a staging environment, this upgrade method would help you get comfortable with the upgrade and understand how your customizations will be upgraded. It's also recommended for large databases or site collections, unless you can divide them up into smaller chunks, because it works at the site collection level, so it provides the granularity at the site collection level. So only the users for that site collection will be affected as it gets upgraded. So if you have requirements if you have minimal migration window, then this approach might work for you. And also it will provide the ability to upgrade only a subset of site collections. If you decide to retire some of your sites, this might be a good alternative as well. So with that, I will turn over to Dino, who he will do a gradual upgrade demo for us.
Okay, thanks, Farla. We're going to show you in this demo, I'm going to switch to a live screen and show you the gradual upgrade settings, some of the pairings of the virtual server versus the web application, which is the new terminology, and then to upgrade the site collection. Okay. In the central admin website of your 2007 environment, what you'll see here under Operations tab is there is a section called Upgrade and Migration. In this particular section here, there is the site content upgrade status, finalized upgrade, and a few others. I'm going to click on the site content upgrade status, and in here you'll see this is my as what Forla described. You will have side by side, and you'll be able to view different the old and the new URL side by side. I have here this is a portal site that I have over here. And I have a Windows SharePoint Services site over here. If I switch over here in port 83, you'll see here the infamous out-of-the-box portal look and feel. We're going to try to upgrade that. And then I'll go ahead and say Continue Upgrade. And here, what you'll see here is that you first select the application, in this case, yes, the application that you want to create, and you specify and it shows you all the different URLs or the different site collections that are available under this virtual server. It also tells you which is the target content database that you'll have. You also have here some actions where you can actually enter a temporary database, as what Forla described, what the temporary database here, and here you'll see what the original site database is and what the new target database is. Also, in any of these cases, well, you can, as Porta described, you can always revert back to any particular site collection that you have. In this particular case, I don't have any site collections that I've migrated yet, but it will show up over here. And then several upgrade settings as well. So setting this, which is a pretty nice feature, you can actually reset all template pages during an upgrade. So from 2003 to 2007, you want to reset everything back to the site definition, you just set this checkbox. So, however, I could also be, when trying to start a new upgrade, here's the different options that's available. So right now, I need to create a web application, specify the port number, and possibly a host header. I could also specify a new application pool or an existing application pool. Security configurations, whether you choose to use Kerberos or NTLM, and you could manually set the database name, or SharePoint can automatically select those database names for you. You can also create for portals the name of your search database and the name of your SSP database. And optionally, you can configure where the index settings will be. So let's go ahead and just click on Continue Upgrade over here. I would simply select all the site collections underneath this content database, or I could select one or more of them, or all the team sites underneath. I go ahead and say Upgrade Sites, and it tells me here this is the total number of site collections, how big is the original storage, what is the target database, and what is the source database. I go ahead and upgrade these sites. And as you can see, in here there will be this UI that says side-by-side job pending. You could refresh this at every point in time, or you can just go to the status of the job to figure out what is the status of your current migration. That is over here, the operations. I could look at the timer's job status over here, and you can go through and look at the status of your current migration. So what will happen with at the end of this, you will see a new migrated site. We'll see the areas, the different areas that you have. It will convert all, in 2003, you will have this notion called the C1, C2 bucketing. When that thing in 2003 to 2000 migration, we will flatten all those out so that you will no longer see the C1 and C2. So I'll switch over now. I think this will take a while. I'll switch back to to our presentation. So in the content data, the third option, third scenario, this is what we call a content database migration. And then in this instance, you have two separate farms, a SharePoint 2003 farm and a SharePoint 2007 farm. The content database on the 2002 farm is backed up using SQL Server backup. It is then copied over to the new SQL Server database and restored. At this time, you can put SharePoint 2003 websites on read-only mode. That way, users can still view the site, but are unable to make any changes. SharePoint 2007 is installed on the new server farm, creates a new config database, and also creates a new web application. You then attach the 2003 content database to this web application. SharePoint 2007 detects an older database schema and proceeds to upgrade the contents. So all this happens from inside SQL Server database. You'll need to make sure that there is a web application already existing before you begin the migration. One thing to point out is, since we are migrating a single content database at a time, there can be several site collections or just one site collection inside a single content database. Therefore, only those site collections contained inside that content database will be migrated at a time. This is a fairly SQL-intensive resource process, so you need to make sure that you're doing it either on a fast RAID or SAN drives with lots of temp DB space. Also, you will need to somehow manually redirect the old sites to the new sites. You can do this using DNS changes or IS redirection on your existing 2003 sites. So if you're moving to a new hardware or to a new platform, possibly 64-bit, or for consolidation, or moving to SQL Server 2005, then this is the approach for you. The content database migration is your best bet. If you require very little downtime and need to maximize the throughput of your upgrades, then this is the way to go. And if you are using scalable hosting mode or Active Directory account creation mode, this is the only supported option that is available. For large farms and for large enterprises looking to migrate their existing SharePoint 2003, this would be the recommended approach. Some additional considerations. We can move back a slide. Some additional considerations to think about when doing content database migrations. In order to avoid merging of updates after you upgrade, you'll need to set the existing SharePoint 2003 farms into the read-only mode, as I described earlier. You can either do this two ways. You could either set your content database to be read-only in SQL Server, or you could set each of the site collection properties to lock the content, which means users are not allowed to edit content, but they're still allowed to view. We also talked about remapping the URLs of your existing 2003 websites using an IS redirect or using new DNS entries. However, if you're using an ISA server in your environment, it's very easy to remap those URLs to the new 2007 namespace. Furthermore, it is the responsibility of the SharePoint administrator to copy any additional files on the web front end, like graphics, images, logos, and so on. Also, any custom web parts will need to be redeployed and registered, and any custom site definition files will need to be copied to the appropriate folder. All these things have to be moved manually on all the web front ends. So in this section, we're going to briefly discuss some upgrade strategies. Here are some suggested optimization based on real-world experience that we would like to share with you. So upgrade and consolidation. In many cases that exist today, there are several reasons why you would want to upgrade to SharePoint 2007. You may have a new infrastructure requirement to consolidate. For example, you have a lot of SharePoint 2003 instances that you wish to consolidate into a single farm. This is what we call a SharePoint sprawl, where SharePoint is out of control in your environment. Every business unit has their own instance, and you would like to round up all these instances into a single, managed, IT-supported SharePoint farm. There are some that you may have not done a good design of your current SharePoint 2003 environment because of growth, and it has exceeded the demand. and you wish to reorganize the content and structure or the taxonomy of your farm for better manageability or administration delegation. So there are two methods you could use that we could recommend in this situation. One is to upgrade the farm and then migrate the content. The other is to upgrade the content and then migrate to a new farm. We'll explain this on this next slide. So upgrade, farm, then migrate. In this particular instance, you upgrade the farm using an in-place or a gradual upgrade. Both the config and the content databases are upgraded into the new 2007 structure. After a successful upgrade of the farm, you now have a 2007 farm on the left side there. Then you would simply migrate the content from 2000 to 2007 by doing a SQL backup and restore. You could also do a SharePoint backup and restore to move to a different web application, or even possibly doing a SharePoint import-export to move to a different type hierarchy altogether. And this particular case, upgrade content and migrate, you have a 2003 farm and a 2007 farm. You have a two web front end on your 2007 farm, but you temporarily disjoin or deassociate one of the 2007 web front ends and join it with your 2003 farm. This will upgrade the 2003 content database. Then after successful completion, you can migrate the 2007 content to the new 2007 farm. The advantage of this is that there is no additional hardware involved during the migration process, and simply reuse one of the web front ends to unjoin or rejoin either a 2003 or 2007 farm. Of course, all this migration comes without a hitch, right? So here's some troubleshooting tips. Analyze the pre-scan.exe report and log summary. That might give you a hint as what problems may arise during migration. They will be located in the temp directory. Do not ignore any warning messages, even how cryptic it is. I know it can be very cryptic, but make sure you follow through all the warning messages the pre-scan reports to you. The upgrade files are located under Program Files, Common Files, Microsoft Shared, Web Server Extension 12 logs. You should all memorize that by heart. Look into those logs and search for errors and try your best to figure out what's happening. For the most part, these logs are very verbose, so you can trace down to a point where the error actually occurred. The event viewer also gives you useful information when a migration or an upgrade aborts with a serious error. Make sure you check on the event viewer also. Then you can always continue from an in-place or gradual upgrade if it fails by running the command line utility psconfig. This will continue to the point of the last successful migration. So, in summary, use the in-place upgrade to test your upgrade/migration plans and do it first in a development environment. Use a gradual upgrade when you have a lot of customization. That way you can always stage it and revert back to it. Use the content database migration to move to a new architecture, new hardware, or for new consolidation. And last but not the least, every upgrade and migration takes 6-part preparation and 1-part implementation. So plan, 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 and plan some more when doing these migrations. So for more information, we have included in these slides all technical information available on the Microsoft TechNet site regarding upgrade and migration for SharePoint 2007. Some new development that just recently occurred: Microsoft released an upgrade toolkit for WSS sites and templates. These have good documentation and template script for upgrading existing WSS v2 sites. Also, the new WSS site template for version 3.0, also called the Fabulous 40, is also now available for download. The descriptions of the hot fixes to repair orphan items to clean up your content database, the links are over there, and some conferences links to the SharePoint conferences at TechEd and in SharePoint Conference 2006 are also available there. Additional tools and best practices to ensure upgradability of your existing SharePoint 2003 environment. Make sure you download and run these tools before you even start your migrations. Then we have some great blogs from Joe Olson, previously with Microsoft IT, who has gone through a lot of these migrations on a big scale. So at this point, we can open it up for additional questions if you have not already asked one.
Dino, thank you so much. Before we actually go to your questions, with just a couple of features that I would like to walk through. And first of all, I'm just going to remind everybody, Dino just showed you a whole lot of excellent resources with a lot of URLs there, and I know that probably no matter how fast you write, you couldn't copy them down that quick. But fear not, because you can go to your File menu now, and this is a good time to do it. Go to your File menu and select Print to PDF, and that will download a multi-page PDF document containing all of these slides. So you should have a reference back to those URLs that he pushed out. Plus, you get to look at the slides again if you wish to, and also you have a reference to the URLs that I'm going to show you here. So, first of all, for upcoming and previously live webcasts, www.microsoft.com/webcast. Now, I know there were some questions during the webcast today regarding being able to see this replay, and this is the location where you'll be able to locate that replay, and it should be available. It should be available by about this time tomorrow morning. It usually takes about 24 hours for those replays to go live on that page. The other thing I wanted to point out to you, and it won't be available until Monday probably, but there will also be a link on that site where you can download this the complete PowerPoint deck rather than just getting a PDF copy of it as you can now. You can go and get the actual PowerPoint deck, and it'll be available through registration for the on-demand version of this event at that location. Again, that's www.microsoft.com/webcast. I will be pushing out the evaluation again. I think I talked a lot about that at the beginning. Extremely valuable information for us, and just remind you of our promotion that we're having. Fill out an evaluation and have your name thrown into the hat for the possibility to win a Microsoft Zune digital media player. Oops. Webcast content ideas. Again, this is another long URL, and I'm not going to try and say it, but if you do have the print PDF, you will have a copy of this. We are looking for ideas. We're always looking for ideas, and we have developed a number of webcasts based on ideas sent to us by webcast attendees. So if there's something you'd like to see and we haven't already done it, let us know about it, and there's a good possibility we could make a webcast for that. Last thing I'm going to talk on here, today's webcast was presented using Microsoft Office Live Meeting. To get a free 14-day trial, you go to www.microsoft.com/presentlive. This is a fantastic collaboration software, and if you have not used it in your business, it's certainly worth a try, especially if you work with remote resources. It's a great way to connect people up for meetings. So here's the evaluation page I was talking about. It should take a second to load on your screen. And this is actually the evaluation launch page. If you registered online for this webcast, which I assume most of you did, you can click the Registered Online button. It'll pre-populate a lot of that evaluation with information that you entered when you registered for this webcast. If you prefer to start with a completely blank evaluation, you would click on the All Other Registrants link. I will be staying on for a while. If you have any issues with submitting that evaluation, please turn your seat to red and I will come on and help you. Now, as I understand it, we have at least a couple of questions, and I think now would be a good time to address those. Dino?
Yeah, sure. There was one question that at the earlier part regarding SBS 2003 Small Business Server, about being able to do side-by-side or in place, and if the SharePoint search will work or not. I think in general, search, upgrade of search will not be able to be upgraded. You simply have to recrawl some of these sites. And then Eric, do you have any follow-up on that question?
Hey, Dino, yes I do. In fact, there is a Channel 9 post which actually describes this very well, some of the limitations regarding SBS 2003. In specific, it's SBS 2003 is designed to work hand-in-hand with WSS 2.0. As a result, you can't really do an upgrade without ripping the guts, essentially, out of SBS 2003. However, that's the reason why you need to do the side-by-side install, and especially, as the question was raised, there is some challenges with integrating that with Exchange 2003. However, there are some limitation workarounds that are posted in the comments to that follow-up on Channel 9, which include doing some installation tricks against full SQL Server to get around the search limitation. So that URL is, I'll read it out, but I'm going to try and ask John if there's a way that we can either add that to the slide deck later or send that out as part of the notes. But the URL for that particular post is http://channel9.msdn.com, showpost.aspx, /showpost.aspx, question mark, post ID equals 258392. I don't expect anyone to remember that, but I'm going to see if I can find a way to send that out to everybody.
Eric, I tell you what we can do is I'll submit a question to you, and if you could just paste that in as a reply to the question, and then we can do post to all, and that way people can copy and paste it out of their question and answers pane.
Perfect.
Okay. The second question that was posted out: what specific tools exist to remedy specific instances of upgrade failures if they should occur within the upgrade process? So right now, other than what we explained, Perla and I, on some of the tools that are available for before the scanning, you have the reporting tool, the config analyzer. You have you have particular tools to view the logs and be able to look at them. But as far as remedying them, you basically have to look at these errors specifically and try to see if you could remove some of these errors. Most of these errors are happening because maybe it's an orphaned object, an orphaned site. So you would need to go back and either migrate them individually or just remove them and just recreating them. The other question is, with an upgrade from WSS 2.0 to WSS 3.0, is it required to upgrade your DB from the desktop engine to Microsoft SQL Server? Perla, did you want to address that?
I can take that. It is not a requirement. You can do an in-place upgrade with your desktop engine, but if you like to move to SQL Server, you can also do that before running an upgrade, but it is not a requirement.
Okay, thank you. What else? Do we have questions?
This is Eric. There is one last question. Is there a MOS 2007 virtual hard disk from Microsoft that's being offered?
I can address that, Eric. There was one distributed at the last TechEd 2006, which was a beta version, Beta 2 TR. However, there is a recent one, a search toolkit, Microsoft Office SharePoint Server for Search toolkit release. We may need to. I don't know, John, how we can find the link to that toolkit. I don't have it right now. But you can contact your Microsoft representative and request for that toolkit. It includes a virtual image with some demo content that you can use.
Just to follow up on that, Perla, this is Eric again. There are more and more virtual hard disks being released to MSDN, so if you're an MSDN subscriber, you'll also have the ability just to download pre-installed and pre-configured virtual hard disks. Right now, I think there's one out there on ISA and some other Microsoft server tools. So keep your eye on MSDN subscribers. There's an RSS feed for what the new subscriptions are. And potentially there could be a VHD of MOS showing up there sooner rather than later.
Okay.
From the question booth, those are all the questions that were queued up so far.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Well, if there are no more questions, make sure you fill out the survey at the end of this. Just tells us if that's been helpful to you and any additional webcasts you'd like to see in the future. Again, we really appreciate you spending your Friday with us and learning about SharePoint migrations. We hope you learned something today, and we hope you'll join us again in the next upcoming TechNet webcast. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.